Tonight on the Black Channel. Once again, we get drawn into conversations that have absolutely nothing to do with us, and they veer off to tell you what they really think. I guess sometimes you just gotta let a naker know how you feel. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You're, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, boy, I tell you, it doesn't take much, it doesn't take much, it doesn't take much, and you know, the suspected white supremacist female is always sitting there in the wings, and just when you get ready for a Matt Walsh or somebody else like that, they poke their heads up, and this week was no different. Going into an election year here, and boy, they're letting you know exactly where they stand. I posted this story on Twitter, and if you're not following me there, you should be, but I posted this story on Twitter because I can be bothered to do so. They were doing a story about rising burger prices. They were talking about Five Guys, rising burger prices. And yet, out of nowhere, something really, really bizarre, or should I say really, really American, happens. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't have to play the whole thing. I want you to I'm going to start at the beginning of it. And by the way, YouTube has restored our monetization. So if you all would like to celebrate tonight, you could definitely drop something in the super chat. So YouTube has restored our monetization on this channel. Still working on the other one there, but definitely for those of you who are missing it, you do have the option of doing that. You can celebrate tonight by dropping something on the super chat. What I want to do is play for you what they said here.
It's a popular spot for a burger, fries, and more. But this morning, rising prices at Five Guys making some customers lose their appetites.
So I'm just wondering why the food here is so crazy.
One tweet going viral calling the cost of a meal out of control, along with this receipt apparently showing a $22 price tag for a bacon cheeseburger, regular soda, and little fry.
Well, all right, food prices there at your fast food restaurants are definitely heading toward the stratosphere for some of these places here. And that does come to mind. Now, here's the thing. They get to the end of the program, they get to the end of their segment, and boy, I'm telling you, it kind of just starts, it kind of goes a little weird. You got this black man sitting up here with these 2.5 white women. Hello, Hoda. Sitting here with these 2.5 white women. And it goes a little something like this.
That look, you know, all the prices vary by location. These are franchisees with different sort of micro economies. But it used to be the burger, if you went to a restaurant, you kind of was safe. That was kind of the cheaper thing on the menu. Yeah. Not anymore.
These burgers are from the Today Show kitchen.
Wow.
Delicious.
Fantastic burgers. Thank you, Katie. How are the chains in restaurants, Chris?
So you see him sitting there. He's the only man. Now, Don Lemon wound up losing his job, by the way, although they did cake him off, but Don Lemon wound up losing his job. Found that all very interesting. And then you get to this last part.
The packaging has doubled and tripled, and so their input costs are still real high in the past 2 or 3 years. And so they're really trying to find ways to bring those costs down. Again, you heard that business owner say that he was actually starting to do the prep work himself. You know, he was doing more work to try to keep his costs down.
Right. Tomorrow you should do a story on the high cost of French fries
and fried chicken. We'll do a fried chicken story.
Fried chicken, fries.
Let's round out the week with milkshakes.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay, love it. Thank you very much. Oh wow, look, Dylan's eating too.
And I heard that and I said, wait a minute. Did I hear that correctly?
French fries.
And fried chicken. Keep his costs down.
Right.
Tomorrow you should do a story on the high cost of French fries.
And fried chicken. Can we do a fried chicken story?
Fried chicken, fries.
Work himself. You know, he was doing more work to try to keep his costs down.
Right.
Tomorrow you should do a story on the high cost of French fries.
And fried chicken. Can we do a fried chicken story?
Fried chicken, fries.
Let's round up.
Yeah, boy. I mean, from the Los Angeles Nakers to this. Let's hear it for NBC and the Today Show. Or should we call it White Today Show? Yes, sir, you heard that. We should do a segment about the high cost of French fries and fried chicken. Okay, now where in the hell does that come from? Well, you know exactly where it comes from. You know exactly what it is. And you can see there is the faces of maximum cringe. Oh, Hoda is like, oh my God. So that means that she wasn't the only one who noticed. You notice they all started talking right after she said that, by the way.
The high cost of French fries.
And fried chicken. Can we do a fried chicken story?
Fried chicken, fries.
Let's round out the week with milkshakes.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay, love it. Thank you very much.
You're
Oh, wow, look, Dylan's eating too.
Yeah, boy, you see they all started talking there and whatnot because they knew this heifer done said the wrong thing. And they're hoping that nobody notices. Okay, the segment had 281,000 views. They're hoping that nobody notices. Well, unfortunately, I did. Unfortunately for them, I did. And you really got to start asking questions there, man. You got to start asking. You got to start asking, by the way, what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? This brother is sitting up there. He's by himself. They got him under the 8 ball. And when these other folks were doing their thing, when they got you by yourself and whatnot, man, doesn't really hurt you now, does it? Doesn't really hurt you there now, does it? But boy, next thing you know, a black man is there by himself. A black man is there by himself, and all of a sudden, oh man. $2024. This brother is sitting in there by himself. Little old Hoda didn't do a damn thing. She didn't say a word. She didn't say a word. By the way, folks are talking about the super chat. I just went back and checked it to make sure it was enabled. I turned it back off and turned it back on again, so you might want to refresh or whatever, but I've got it back on. So we'll see if they're messing with us or not. We'll see. You might need to refresh or something, but or give it a little bit. We'll see, but it is turned back on. So those are your friends over there at NBC to let you know. We got this Negro by himself there. It's like, oh, he looks a little too heterosexual. Let's let him know where he stands because he looks a little too heterosexual. And that's not going to work for us. He doesn't look effeminate enough. He doesn't talk effeminate enough. He's probably got some TJ Holmes going on. And she's sitting there like, okay, let's go ahead and bust that down. We'll tell you that was the only place, but it wasn't. Over there on Megyn Kelly, not even suspected white supremacist in this case, not even suspected, Megyn Kelly had something to say. She had comments about Joe Biden's State of the Union address. Had some comments about the State of the Union address. Well, speaking about the State of the Union address, and, well, out of nowhere, while she's criticizing Joe Biden, out of nowhere, I'll let this speak for what it is.
This, for me personally, was the part of the speech where I was actually starting to nod off, because, of course, it was boring, like they all are. And then...
Okay, so she says it's boring like they all are. I guess she decided she needed to put a little bit of excitement on it. Okay.
All your fault. This, for me personally, was the part of the speech where I was actually starting to nod off, because, of course, it was boring, like they all are. And then I heard MTG call out, and then I heard him actually accept the challenge, and he did say her name. Except not really, because he couldn't, as you heard there. Notwithstanding the fact that that name, Laken Riley, is all over the news, all over buttons being worn in the chamber last night, including the one in his own hand that MTG had given him when he walked in, and the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene had just said it to him out loud. He still botched the name Laken Riley. He can get George Floyd out, no problem, a drug-addled criminal who menaced women, but Laken Riley, who was helping the sick heal...
What? Okay, what in the world has George Floyd got to do with anything? What in the world has George Floyd got to do with it? She's supposed to be sitting up here beating up on Joe Biden. She was doing okay, and then out of nowhere, here comes George Floyd. So she can't just stay on the point of illegal aliens. She can't just stay there. Just out of nowhere, here comes this real swerve. He can say George Floyd. Well, he said a number of names. So, really? Really? Just out of nowhere, somebody explain to me what's going on. What do you think the issue is? What do you think the issue really is? Because you all remember, rolling ball Martin was sitting up here telling all of us, he didn't go in on Megyn Kelly. Well, that was his little boo thing. Roland Martin didn't want to go in on her. And yet, all this time later, by the way, she starts showing those suspected white supremacist female fangs. All she had to do was stay on the subject. Stay on Joe Biden. But then again, she is on subject, isn't she? Because what she's telling you is that ultimately this is about the Negroes. This is about getting at us. George Floyd was not proven to have committed any crime that day. There's no reason to bring up his name as a negative. George Floyd was not proven to have committed any crime that day. He got murdered before anybody could prove anything. He got strangled in the middle of the street. There's absolutely no reason to be bringing up his name. And yet, there she is. Now, you have to ask yourself, okay, now, why in the world would she flip out like that? But it's not flipping out. She's reminding the audience who they're really after. She's reminding the audience who she's really after. At the end of the day, if you all tune in, she wants to remind you who the real enemy is. So you see, even though it was real awkward and real strange, she got to shoehorn in about black folk and the right to murder black people in the middle of the street. That's what she wanted to get back to is, by the way, we're going to go from illegals who it's clearly been articulated why they should not be here. Okay, got it, understood. You're talking about an illegal alien who committed a crime and George Floyd who didn't. Now, Megyn Kelly is way past being a Karen at this point. She's going straight to Susan on her way to Gertrude. That's where she is now. She is a Susan on her way to Gertrude. On her way to Mildred. But she wants to let you know on her way out. On her way out of any and all desirability here, that now if she needs to make a buck, she knows what she needs to say and who she needs to go after, because she's trying to make a buck and hold on to that. So demonizing black people has now come full circle. Do you realize what a lowlife you have to be to say anything negative where George Floyd is concerned here? That man was not a mass killer. If anything, he was just the local dope head, okay, but not the day he was killed. The day he was killed, that's not what that was. The day he was killed, that was not what was happening. You see, if you're going to go that route with it, then what you have to say is, by the way, what was Laken Riley doing when she was killed? But of course, that would be monstrous to say such a thing, because it doesn't matter what Laken Riley was doing. That woman did not deserve for that to happen to her. Now, if you're going to criticize Joe Biden for that, how in the world is it you're going to criticize Joe Biden about George Floyd and then say, okay, we're not going to talk about Laken Riley? You all have to understand at this point right now, the Megyn Kellys, they have to go super hard. They got to go super hard in the paint, because she's not thinking about today. She's thinking about 5 years from now, because eventually her and her kind age out. Folks ain't going to be digging her when she starts looking like Barbara Walters, which is just around the corner. They can only use so many black charcoal filters on the cameras to soften your image and to try to soften out some of them crow's feet and wrinkles. They can only use so much of that before it's just not working no more. They can only do so much of that, Megyn. And you know it. There's now another cable TV deal coming for you. That's not happening. You've already had your shot, and you've aged out. Now she's looking like an abused alley cat. The hair or weave or whatever that is on your head, it's not doing the blonde bombshell thing anymore. So she's got to think about the future. She's got to think about the future, because she's got to be concerned about how things are going to go. She's got to be concerned about how things are going to go, because from here on in, man, it could be rough. It could be rough. She's got to think about what's going to happen next. Because, once they start getting around this point right here, oh boy. Megyn is 53 years old now. 53. And she's looking at all the other folk and saying, oh boy, this could be me in just a moment. Might get dumped overboard here in just a moment. So the vitriol and the venom got to come out. I have to let some other prospective would-be husband or suitor out there know. It's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. I'm on the team here. It's like this. It's like this. Same thing for the trash bag over there on the Today Show. You all notice the same thing? These chicks with their dyed blonde hair. All these blonde in a bottle women running around out here. Yeah, but they're getting past the point of salvation. They're getting past the point of no return. They're losing their ability to hang in there. They're starting to do that grandma's gone wild thing. And so they start getting testy, they start getting hostile, they start getting feisty, then they start getting real mean. Because they don't have sexuality to trade on anymore. You have to understand, the white supremacist males, they are looking for the next young thing. They're looking for the next young thing to trade you out for. Or rather to trade you in for. They're looking for the next thing, and they can feel it breathing down their necks. What are you supposed to do when you feel it breathing down your neck like that? Oh, every time you have an opportunity, let's go ahead and see if we can drag black folk here and let them know that it is worth it. It is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it to them. It is worth it to them to have that. Let me bring you another one. There's this little tidbit. If you want to know how it goes. Now, in this case, young is a relative term. Younger is a relative term here. Understand. Rupert Murdoch. Speaking of white supremacist males, Rupert Murdoch, 92 years old, engaged to a 67-year-old. Yeah, buddy. What I'm saying is that these dudes, they let you know, they ain't out the market, and some of these chicks are hoping, wait a minute, maybe there'll be a leg up for me at some point. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a leg up so we can cash out. So how do you do that? How do you signal that you're ready for that? How do you signal that you're ready for it? Well, easy. You signal that you're ready for it by letting them know. This is how we feel about the Negroes. That's a card that can get played anywhere. There are not as many of these guys for them to depend on anymore. And for a Megyn Kelly, that's rather disappointing for her, because she's like, hey, at 53 years old, I'm supposed to be getting ready to put my feet up. And not really able to do that. Not really able to do that. You see, it's not hard to be able to spot a chick in suspected white supremacist society who's not getting the benefits package that she was hoping she was going to get. I mean, without me being too rude here. You all tell me here, well, what does Gertrude here qualify for? Out there in the world of white supremacists, suspected white supremacist producers, what does she qualify for? With all their options ahead of them, which one does she get? Does she get the fella making $2 million a year? Does she get the fella making $10 million a year? Does she get the fella making $200,000 a year? Which one does she get? So in their desperate attempts to maintain relevance, they instead take it as an opportunity to go after us. in places where it is just weird and strange to do. And if it's weird and strange, that means it's not weird and it's not strange. If they're doing it like this, it's not weird and it's not strange. It's all part of the plan. And let's be clear, this was not a mistake.
Still real high in the past 2 or 3 years. And so they're really trying to find ways to bring those costs down. Again, you heard that business owner say that he was actually starting to do the prep work himself. You know, he was doing more work to try to keep his costs down.
Right. Tomorrow you should do a story on the high cost of French fries.
and fried chicken. Can we do a fried chicken story?
Fried chicken, fries.
Let's round out the week with milk.
They're sitting there talking about burgers. He's referring to the receipt on that, the high cost of French fries. And this picture right here on your screens, this says it all. This says it all. Looking at Savannah. Savannah is wanting to sink through her seat. Hoda looks crazy, cringe, smiling. The other chick over there is ready for the unemployment line. But if you want to know what it is or what it's like to be a black man in these places, I want you to understand that. This is what it's like to be a black man in these places. What type of black man is going to sit there and tolerate that kind of stuff? There's a reason why they do that, because there's a specific kind that they can get away with that kind of thing with. So that's the one they want to handle. And every once in a while, one of these chicks will slip up and let the real thing come out. Every once in a while, they slip up and they let the real thing come out and they say what they really think. Just to let y'all know. We need to put you in your place, so we're going to tell you what we really think just to let you all know. No wonder you see so many of the stories that you see the way you do. And many of you have lived this. Many of you have lived this in corporate America. You've seen how that goes. You've seen how this goes. Imagine being the only black man here. Imagine being the only one here. And of course, the other one is Al Roker. Is Al still on the Today Show? Is Al Roker still there? Did he go somewhere else? Last I heard, he was still on the Today Show. So did Al go somewhere else? You know him. He been skinning and grinning for 3 damn decades. What the hell's so damn funny? How the hell you been doing this for 3 or 4 decades? What the hell's so funny, Al? What's going on that's so funny? We can't just do the morning news segment. We can't just talk about the burgers without slipping something in there to remind the audience. I also will remind you here at the comment section, everybody and their mama heard it. The comment section wants to play dumb about it because that's the way you do that. Oh, we didn't hear anything like that. Oh, what does that mean? She just said the cost of fried chicken. Now, if she had just said the cost of chicken, she might have been able to get away with that too. But no, she wanted to make sure that she left no ambiguity about what she was referring to. She wanted to make sure she left no ambiguity about that. And that's important. That's important because if it's ambiguous, it doesn't make the point. And in the modern era, you have to make sure that the target has been hit. Especially in an election year, you got to make sure that the target has been hit, especially in an election year. You got to make sure that everybody remembers to be on code, especially in an election year. So what you do is you start that drum beat going, you go on to today's show, you go on to YouTube, you start hearing those things, and yeah, we start getting shoehorned in. We start getting shoehorned in. Let me say one more thing here. You would figure that after what happened to her, Megyn Kelly would be angry at the white folks. That's what you would think. You would think that that's who Megyn Kelly would be angry with. Wasn't no black folk involved in what happened to her. We didn't have a damn thing to do with what occurred to Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly knows why she got fired. She knows the real reason. Megyn Kelly was brought over to NBC to show some of that Fox News magic. And don't worry, Megyn, you weren't able to get it done for him, but NBC is still trying. Clearly, they're still trying. Megyn Kelly's contract was too damn expensive. And so by saying what she said, she gave them an excuse to start moving her. And then next thing you know, they start doing some more. They saw an excuse and a reason to cut the payroll. Her contract was too expensive. So they seized on that opportunity as an excuse to boot her out the door. Wasn't no black folk responsible for that. There were no black people in positions of power to get Megyn Kelly up out of there. So instead of going at them, she is still remaining on code. She's still not going at them. She's still going at us. Which, by the way, makes her comments look a lot less accidental. If you all agree that Megyn Kelly should be mad at the white folks who fired her and not the black folks who didn't, give me the black fist emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 4,000 people in here live. And if you agree that she should be mad at them and not at us, give me the black fist emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me here. I want to send a big shout out here to Veronica. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. To my man Kay and Nancy King, thank you all very much for showing up and showing out in the super chat. We appreciate that. We got that back active here. So thank you to all of you and everyone who has contributed tonight live on super chat. Also for PayPal and Venmo. Thank you all very much for your support as well. You know, they understand that if it comes from the suspected white supremacist males, sneak dissing don't go quite so easy. Those guys have learned they really can't do that. So they've handed it off to the females. Here you go, baby. You go make it work. We'll just run cover for you. Here's the problem. The problem is if it doesn't work out, she's the first one thrown overboard. That's the way that goes. If it works, they'll go with it. If it doesn't, she's the first one tossed overboard. Now they're all trying to rearrange their seats on the Titanic because they're telling themselves, boy, you know, we might have another chance. We might get another run. We might get another run. We might get another run. So if Trump gets in office and Megyn Kelly is thinking, I might get to get give me one more contract. See, that's the way that it works for them when they go online and whatnot. The real thing for them is being able to go online, and if they get a big enough following or whatever, or get enough clout, maybe they can negotiate something else in one of the networks. So that's the way they should do that. They're going into the wilderness, and if you survive in the wilderness, because most of them don't, but if you happen to survive and make it in the wilderness, well, then maybe you'll be able to redeem yourself and resurrect your career on television, which is ultimately where they want to go. In their case, go back to. But in the meantime, you got to tread water. And what they're showing you is that means on us. That means on us. But the other reason for it is because they feel so damn powerless. Remember what I've always taught you all. White supremacy is useless if you cannot abuse people. White supremacy is utterly useless if you cannot abuse people. So you see, the reason for bringing up George Floyd is because that is one of their ultimate symbols of abuse. That we don't have to respect your rights. We can violate your rights. We can violate all of that. You have no rights that we are required or obligated to observe, and we judge the healthiness of white supremacy by our ability to abuse you. So George Floyd is actually very important for them because he represents the ability to abuse and kill with impunity. And the fact that that did not occur, that's what sticks in their craw, because unlike so many of the others, you got to record the murder of George Floyd up close and personal. That's a white supremacist snuff film. That's telling them, yeah, that's the way that's supposed to be. We're supposed to be able to do that. We're supposed to be able to kill 10, 20, 50 of you with impunity. You don't have any rights. You don't have any rights. George Floyd represents us not having any rights. That represents us being lynched in the middle of the street. Not even represents. That's us being lynched in the middle of the street. And what they're showing you is, of all the cases they could be upset about, why are they so upset about that one? Tucker Carlson made some snide remarks about it last week, I think it was. Why are they so upset about that case, a clear-cut case of murder? The reason for it is because it was a clear-cut case of murder. And what bothers them so much about George Floyd is that George Floyd kicked off the activist summer. There was a pandemic going on outside, and yet George Floyd had helped get it set off. That's the part they're upset about. George Floyd represents the last major uprising that we saw. So when you say George Floyd, you mean something slightly different from what they mean. When you say George Floyd, you're referring to a black man killed by white supremacists in the white supremacist system. When they hear George Floyd, they hear, yeah, that's when BLM really got going. And BLM is just a euphemism for all y'all niggas. This is all of you. It represents us taking to the streets and not tolerating it. It represents us going straight at the system. If you don't believe that the uprising after George Floyd was a pivotal moment that changed things, don't believe me. Believe the suspected white supremacists and confirmed white supremacists. Believe the Megyn Kellys and the Tucker Carlsons. They are fixated on George Floyd. Every time you turn around, they keep mentioning George Floyd, even though it is clear that on video that he was murdered, and yet they keep holding it up as if that was okay and all right. They cannot tell you what of the police officers' actions was justified. They attacked the victim. How do you attack a victim who was murdered in cold blood on video? It must be bigger than George Floyd. They don't talk about the others like that. They don't talk about Eric Garner like that. They don't talk about Tamir Rice like that. They talk about George Floyd like that because that represents the turning of the tide for them. After George Floyd, you started seeing cops get arrested left, right, and center. After George Floyd, you start seeing folks get arrested left, right, and center. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, hell, we lost it. You hear them talking about folks have defunded the police, even though nobody got defunded. But that represents the moment when they feel like everything changed, because that represents the moment that they feel that the world turned against white supremacy. That's a major L to them, and they're desperately trying to turn the clock backwards to show that, by the way, white supremacy turned against you. They turned against white supremacy. They saw people around the world standing up against it. That was a bellwether moment. That was a milestone. And that's why they're going off the rails now. It's an election year and saying George Floyd a victim. And here comes Megyn Kelly to say there's something wrong with punishing people for murdering black people. It's an election year and she's letting you know what she's running on. She's voting for white supremacy. It's an election year and she's saying she's voting for white supremacy and that black people have no rights that white people are obligated to observe. But speaking of rights, I have another story I'd actually like to show you here. Speaking of rights, I've got another one. I want you to check this one out, by the way. I want you to check it out. Before we do that, we're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Venmo, Super Chat. My man Mark B, thank you very much for your support. Big shout out here to Mr. Rich Bird, Walter Wilbur, Najee, and everyone else. Thank you very much for your support tonight here. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about who's getting their rights defended. Let's talk about who's able to invoke civil rights now. This is the Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Steve Burgess, and I'm the author of this book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-aged child. In this book, I've explained the role of the parent and the student in addition to what accommodations, procedures, rewards and consequences and expectations that need to be in place to ensure student success from primary to high school. This book is available on Amazon.com. For more information, please visit my link tree at Easy One-on-One. And to access my latest podcast, A Teaching Moment with Mr. B. Thank you all for listening.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spiritOf1811publishing.com and show your love.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Natural Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And I want to talk about rights. I want to talk about rights. I want to talk about exactly what that is here, because there are folks who are getting their rights defended here, especially in the zone of civil rights. Let me go ahead and introduce you to someone here. By the way, YouTube, fair use here. This is coming to us, I think, out of Las Vegas, is it? Yeah, 8 News Now out of Las Vegas. I want you all to see this story.
Evening, a man is assaulted by Henderson police after he tried to help them, and now the city has to pay nearly $500,000. Thanks for joining us. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy obtained video from that incident, sat down with the victim and his lawyer. Now, we do want to warn you, it is graphic.
For Jim Herndon, it's been 6 long years since he became the victim of excessive force by Henderson police.
Bad situation got out of hand and things just spiraled.
He was an assistant store manager at Sportsman's Warehouse. Officers arrive after a call about an armed shoplifter. Here, officers approach the suspect and he runs.
We had a firearm.
Herndon,
I didn't know what he would do.
a former law enforcement officer for more than 2 decades,
Just instincts from lots of years of training.
intervenes.
So did you see that? So they're chasing, he's an assistant manager here. The police show up. They see the suspect in the place. He helps tackle the suspect, and watch what happens next.
Here, officers approach the suspect and he runs.
We had a firearm.
Herndon,
I didn't know what he would do.
a former law enforcement officer for more than 2 decades,
Just instincts from lots of years of training.
intervenes.
I recall jumping on him.
But he never expected what would follow.
I saw stars.
This is Sergeant Michael Gillis ramming Herndon in the head with an M4 and using a stun gun.
Somebody had their hands wrapped around my throat and was lifting me up, so I peeled fingers off my throat. Got hit a few more times in the face.
He says he suffered multiple injuries, including a concussion, and he has permanent nerve damage and some memory loss. But there's one moment he can recall after the incident.
They kind of chuckled and said, "Hey, we must have mistaken you for the bad guy." And it was really at that moment that I was kind of like, I felt like, well, they're all standing out here getting their story straight.
He later...
So, former police officer now. Keep that in mind, former police officer, and yet, boy, he got the work out there. He said he's having some memory loss, but he can remember everything about them beating him up. Now, he remembers that. No memory loss on that part. He remembers getting cracked upside the head and everything else. I got memory loss except about when y'all was beating on me. I remember every bit of that one. Then they talk about the cop who hit him in the head. This is the cop on the stand now, okay? This is him on the damn stand.
They escalated the situation to a point that it did not need to escalate.
It was safer to have more people.
This is Sergeant Gillis on the stand.
And you would not change a thing.
No.
He testifies the incident tarnished his reputation, a claim Huff is ready for.
But you had previously had excessive force complaints for punching a woman in the face.
There was questions on it, allegations, yeah.
You had allegations against you for sexually harassing women at the Starbucks where you would do your paperwork.
I don't think it was that wordage, but yeah.
Also for inappropriately selling weapons.
Yep.
Voiding traffic tickets for friends and family.
Yes, I did that.
Folks, excuse me, are we hearing this correctly? Is this dude a cop or is he an undercover drug cartel? What the hell?
But you had previously had excessive force complaints for punching a woman in the face.
There was questions on it, allegations, yeah.
You had allegations against you for sexually harassing women at the Starbucks where you would do your paperwork.
I don't think it was that wordage, but yeah.
Also for inappropriately selling weapons.
Yep.
Voiding traffic tickets for friends and family.
Yes, I did that.
5 to 10 inquiries about using excessive force by Internal Affairs.
Sounds probably right.
You've been placed on leave with pay 4 times.
Yes, ma'am.
What types of incidents cause an officer to be placed on leave with pay?
Shooting incidents where somebody dies or there's substantial bodily harm to that person.
And then the verdict.
Did y'all hear? What is this, training day? What is this here? Is this training day? Is this American Gangster? What is this, Serpico? I mean, she just read off a laundry. How do you keep your job as a police officer, quote, illegally selling weapons?
Sounds probably right.
You've been placed on weapons.
Wordage, but yeah.
Also for inappropriately selling weapons.
Yep.
And still got his badge.
Voiding traffic tickets for friends and family.
Yes, I did that.
And still got his badge. He's like, yep, did that. Oh, so did. Oh, I forgot about that. Well, I wouldn't wear it that way, but you know what? That sounds pretty right to me. Yep, sound pretty correct to me. And somebody in the chat room said Dirty Harry. I mean, didn't hurt it. He can be a sergeant. And he can be a sergeant. None of this prevented him or obstructed him from becoming a sergeant. I guess all those boxes behind him are his files, is the file that they have on him. Sir, these are all of your misconduct files back here. Okay, well, that's them. Do you deny that these are yours? Yeah, they're probably right, actually. I'm not denying them. They're probably right. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, he's just like, I don't give a damn. He just lets you know, hey, look here, I'm with the business. And then you wonder how somebody can get their head busted open. He probably been busting heads all over Nevada. Yes, sir. I mean, he's doing the most and just still got his job. Well, he still had his job anyway. I think he's gone ahead and retired. So the dude got $450,000. But here's the part I want you all to see.
Difficult to watch, but he says he hopes his story may inspire others to seek accountability. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Attorney Marjorie Hoff says this is the first civil rights trial in state history under a new rule that came down from the Nevada Supreme Court. Now, previously, civil rights cases had to be handled only in federal court. Gillis appears to have retired from the Henderson Police Department. Vanessa reached out to the city, did not receive a response in time that came down from the Nevada Supreme Court. Marjorie Hoff says this is the first civil rights trial in state history under a new rule that came down from the Nevada Supreme Court. Now,
this is the first civil rights trial that's come down after a ruling from the Nevada State Supreme Court. And they got damn near $500,000 ready for him. They're telling us what we can't get. They're telling us what we can't have. Nobody is pressing a case anywhere for us for our civil rights. So let me get this straight. Before now, they would have fought you over civil rights. The state Supreme Court says, okay, you get civil rights cases in Nevada. The first one they give it to is a former police officer. That's the first one they give it to, is a former police officer. They give it to him. The police beat him up, and it's immediately a civil rights case and smooth sailing. You see, the plebiscite babble don't really make it very, very far under these circumstances. It doesn't make it very far when you see this kind of thing occur, because that's when you start to notice. It's like, I'll be damned, y'all ain't really said nothing about civil rights where we're concerned. And what they're doing is showing you that it's a mockery. They're doing that on purpose because they're trying to make a point. They're doing it on purpose in order to make a point. And the point is, civil rights is a joke for black people. We're going to show you, we'll support civil rights, but only for everyone except the people that it was supposed to be pursued for. Black people have filed endless cases, endless civil rights cases in Nevada, and they're not taking any stock or any notice of those. Not taking any notice of those. But when a white man sits up here and files one, that happens. Show you one more thing here. They've gotten over 750,000 views there. And one of the things in particular there is what they're showing about. I want to get to the comments section. I want to show a bunch of other stuff on here. Let me get to the comments section. There it is. All right. Down in the comments section, this is what you see. No, the city didn't pay the money. The taxpayers paid the money again. The cop who testified seems proud of his corruption. This corrupt cop is dangerous. He should be in jail. The city of Henderson did not pay a dime. The taxpayers did. What job pays you for killing people? This is insane. No shame, no remorse because there's no personal accountability. Imagine having a work record as bad as that guy and still being allowed to retire with no consequences. Yeah, sounds like Daniel Pentalio and a bunch of other folk I could name. Yeah, it sounds like them. Yeah, it sounds just like them. Nobody is in the comments section making excuses for this. Being a cop is a tough job. You can't second guess them. Back the blue. Nobody is giving them the thin blue line speech here. Nobody's talking about that here. Imagine all the victims who haven't been able to file lawsuits. It doesn't even matter if you do. Would you have changed anything knowing you assaulted an innocent man? Nope. I want you to just see the comments section. The U.S. cops and justice system is truly insane. Well, we've been saying that for 200 years. We've been saying that for 200 years, and it's only here. Don't you see everybody is on code? That's the point I want to make to you all. Shouldn't you see somebody in here who is off code? Folks, shouldn't there be somebody here who has a dissenting opinion? Do you see that? Shouldn't there be somebody in here who has a dissenting opinion? 270,000+ views. All these comments, and there's not a dissenting opinion in here about, well, you can't second guess the police and you can't really do that. And we don't know what was happening beforehand. And we don't have all the facts. That's the point I'm bringing up here. Everybody's saying the same thing. Nobody is dissenting. Nobody is saying, well, we don't have all the information. Nobody is saying, can we investigate further? Nobody is saying you just can't second guess the cops. Nobody is saying, well, they have to think fast. Nobody's saying that. You got black unarmed black people getting shot by the police. The police supposed to be after somebody else, and they done shot an unarmed black person. Shout out North Miami. Shout out North Miami. You got cops sitting up here shooting up a whole damn squad car because they heard an acorn fall. And yet you don't see anybody here. I'm so glad this person here said it back the blue till it happens to you. I wonder if everybody agreed with him there. They ain't very much they could say here. Oh well. Boy, I'm telling you. So this is why I'm saying here that, by the way, everybody's on code. Everybody is on code. Everybody is on the same page here. No dissenting opinions when we say on code. When we talk about systemic racism, this is what we mean. Just that quickly, everybody is on code, just that fast, just that uniform. I mean, it's like you were sent through a door to another dimension. Everybody's on the same page with this one. Everyone's on the same page here. No one is in disagreement. Everyone is in complete unison. You and I show up and all of a sudden everybody's devil's advocate, everybody's Fox News, everybody's questioning something here. Why do the taxpayers got to pay for that? Oh, that was excessive. We don't believe he got hit that hard to begin with there. Well, you know, it's so hard for the police. The police don't know what's going on. It becomes that when we show up. And I just wanted to give you an example of exactly how that goes, because when we show up, all of a sudden it becomes that. All of a sudden everybody's arguing. And to label this a civil rights case. Now, if that doesn't add insult to injury, what does? We've labeled this a civil rights case. Wow, that's rather rich there, because we got to go fight to go get ours. If that occurs, we got to fight for ours, but these folks ain't got to do that. Not at all. They don't have to do any of that. They can go ahead and just get theirs straight away. By the way, one more thing. It didn't require marching and protesting in the streets. Hey, Megyn Kelly, nobody had to march or protest in the streets. We don't need an executive order. We don't need Congress. Hell, he didn't even need the damn Justice Department. He didn't need the feds. He didn't need that at all. He got his straight away. He didn't need the feds. Yeah, Megyn Kelly, the reason why we had to have the George Floyd uprisings is because we can't get what these white men get. Sure as hell can't get what the white police officer got. We can't get any of that. We show up and they're telling us about the rights we don't have. There's the crazy part about it. We show up and they start telling us about the rights we don't have. Nobody gave him that. Hey, what the hell happened to qualified immunity, by the way? I'm just curious, did anybody hear what happened to qualified immunity here? I didn't hear anybody talking about that. I only hear anybody holding that up as an excuse. Why is it no one is discussing or introducing qualified immunity? Why, for them, this is all straightforward and cut and dry. This is all straightforward and cut and dry. What you mean? Can't you see the video? It's like, okay, well, when we try the can't you see the video, we get the, well, there's more than what the video shows you. That's what it means to be us. When we say, hey, what about the video? We get, there's more than what the video shows you. Nobody gave him more than the video shows you. Hey, The newscasters didn't give the allegedly. You know, that's what we get is the allegedly. We get the alleged beating. We get the alleged assault. White man shows up. He's been beaten. He's assaulted. It doesn't say video shows alleged Henderson police beating. It says video shows Henderson police beating. Black folk can get gunned down. It's allegedly shot. Everything's allegedly. You got to get lawyers and everything else. And they keep saying allegedly right until you convict somebody. And even then, half the time, they don't. That's why George Floyd was a pivotal moment. That's why George Floyd was so important. That's why George Floyd resonated the way that it did. It resonated that way because these kind of things happening don't happen for us. Black folk are on video and these kind of things don't happen for us. We had to take to the streets to start getting anything to happen. And if they were being totally honest, that's why you mad. That's why you calling out the Los Angeles Nakers and the Five Guys chicken special. The French fried chicken special. Because things are getting a little bit too fair and a little bit too equal, and we ain't trying to have it. Now they're cranking up and giving you a preview of what they expect the next 4 years to be like. And herein lies the problem. When people talk to you about voting for Trump, herein lies the problem. Because then you end up in situations like this. Megyn Kelly is sitting up here warming her voice up. Oh, she's warming up her vocal cords. She's warming up her vocal cords for us. No, don't for a second think it's going to get any better with her or any of the others. So they're letting you know we're going to hand it off to the women first. The women are going to get it handed off to them first. Then the fellas are going to start coming back in. You see little sleazy, smarmy things like that happen? They're giving you an idea what they got in mind. And it's not accidental. There's a reason why you have a new black media. There's a reason why you have us. There's a reason why you need us. And this week here, just showing you what they're doing over there in the white supremacist corporate media, that's just a brief reminder of it. But we have others.
When you know too much and you show them you know too much, that's when they throw you away. And that's what happened to me. He was actually one of the suppliers when it comes to drugs and all of this stuff. He was one of the suppliers that will give the president of the record companies their drugs. And that's how he got in. Because back in the 80s, everyone did drugs. Meaning the record label owners.
Can you explain some of the explanations or rationales that artists are typically given for why their album didn't make any money?
They'll say, oh wow, this is a great question. I love this question. Even though I never answered it, I always wanted to answer this question.
Just to warm up there, our new documentary, 8 a.m., the follow-up to the historic best-selling 7 a.m. is underway. You all have an opportunity to be a part of that. So definitely, the link is in the description. It's also in the super chat here as well. You want to go ahead and take a look into that. The crowdfunding is now open. The crowdfunding is now open. We've gotten a tremendous response here, so I want to thank everyone here. I want to thank everyone who has contributed. I want to thank all of you for being a part of that, because we can't rely on the white supremacist media. We can't rely on them. We can't rely on the old black media. We can't rely on any of that. There's a reason why we've had to do it ourselves, because we can't rely on any of them. They're not our friends. They're not looking out for us. They aren't doing anything that's in our interests. They're looking out for their own, which means they are being against ours. They are against ours. That's why we're doing what we got to do here. And as a part of that, I want to thank everyone. Thank you all here for contributing to tonight's program. We appreciate that as well. These folks here, they got billions of dollars behind them. Now imagine somebody who hates you and they got real money behind them. Imagine that. That's not a joke. These things are well funded for a reason. That's not a joke. When they do that, they're letting you know, hey, this is what we own. We're on this. When they can sit up here and show up after a whole national convention and tell you the problem is us. The problem is us. How in the hell are you stopping everything you're doing to say that the problem is us? But that's just how seriously committed that they are to it. They're just that seriously committed to that. I've tried to make it my job to remind you all and have an outlet for that, but just understand they're not kidding. So for everyone here who is taking this seriously, I want to say thank you to all of you. It's very easy to try to ignore that. We're doing our part over here. And for the crowdfunding, I want to thank all of you for doing your part over there. We're moving on to bigger and better things in that regard. And yeah, it's just in time for an election year. It is just in time for an election year. Just in time. Thank you all once again. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent Black thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, and later this year, 8 a.m., fill out your library. Your film library is Only We Can at blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. And if you want to support what we do here as far as Black Channel Films, the link is in the description for our crowdfunding. I want to see your name up there. Let's go ahead and put you on a piece of history. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.